All right. Good evening. It's bourbonblog.com. I'm Tom Fischer here with my good friend Sean Williams, live in Atlanta and from Cohiba. How's it going, Sean?
Doing all right, man. How you doing?
Good, good. So it's one of my favorite times of the year. It's almost like Christmas for the bourbon lovers because we have the Cohiba Weller by Cohiba cigar has changed every year just a little bit from the beginning.
Sure.
And this is the full proof edition that we're going to smoke here in just a few minutes. So ask questions below. I already see a large number of people tuning in. So what do we have here, Sean? First of all, tell us about this, and then we'll get it. I'm gonna get mine lit.
Man, if my math is correct, it's been a busy few years with this partnership. But this is the fourth release, of course, the Weller by Cohiba 2024 edition. Very similar in many ways to some of the previous iterations. In particular, it's more akin to the Weller by Cohiba 2022 release in that it has a Sumatra wrapper, of course, it has a broadleaf binder. Big difference is that the last two previous releases, the broadleaf binder was aged in the Weller 12-year barrel. For this release, it was aged in the Weller full-proof barrel. So, just a little bit more weight, so to speak, in the experience. Subtle differences in the profile, and the nuance overall, but great cigar. Akin to the previous releases, a good bit of Nicaraguan under the hood. Of course, with a little bit of our resident Lodo Cabano as well. So,
right.
A fuller expression, a little bit different. And yeah, you're going to play Vanna White for us.
Well, I will, because look at this. I mean, for those of you that are Weller fans, first of all, we were going to try to track down a full proof. Think we've drank all of that, but Sean and I were both able to get some Weller green labels. So if you've had the Weller green, just the special reserve 7 to 8 year old, just how beautiful. Same recipe, wonderful weeded recipe. Tell us down below or tweet back to us. Tell us what you're drinking tonight. This is the case. This presentation, in fact, there's actually a whole other cloth wrapping that goes onto it. This is the heart of it. This is a beautiful blue,
a velveteen wrapper, a casing, and then it goes inside of a blue,
smooth box.
Beautiful blue boxing. Then that's actually covered in another white protectant. So it's the packaging is very, very elaborate and very, very fitting for such a well-appointed release. You know what I mean?
It really is. It's the blue, Sean, the foolproof blue with the Cohiba. And then, all right, everyone, I see a lot of great people joining in. I'm going to open it. Here's what happens when you open it.
You look
Take
good.
a look at this. You have 10 cigars here. These are just so incredible. Gold. It's gotten fancier and just more beautiful. They were all amazing, but it's just gotten better and better over the years.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. And this, I can't wait to taste, my friend. This is out in markets now. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's been out for a few weeks, and of course, my lighter's giving me issues, and my buddies always give me a hard time because obviously I have no shortage of lighters over here. But I'd be damned if I have one that works consistently because I'm not the most disciplined at bleeding them before I refill them. So a lot of times, pockets like.
Hey, it just means that we're enjoying life more often. That's what it means. That's what it means. All right, we have a few people telling us what they're sipping tonight. I see a few people with the Weller 12, of course. Last few years, you had Weller 12. It went into Weller 12 barrels. This year, of course, the full proof. It's always something new with the Weller by Cohiba. I'm cracking open my special reserve. And again, always been a fan of Weller. All right, and I'm going to light up. Cheers, Sean.
Cheers, buddy.
Yes. And yes, I am going to light mine as well. When you're approaching this project every year, the goal has been to do something new every year, right?
Well, yeah, to a degree, right? It's not going to be, some stark difference from what the cigar lovers come to expect. We want it to be a familiar experience, but just add a little bit of different nuance, a little bit of different sort of element to the overall experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what there have been some other themed bourbon cigars out there. I've never seen one that changes it up every year, that goes into the ultra extreme, elegant, luxurious side. And this one is just you've really set a whole new benchmark with the Weller by Cohiba. How did this all come about? I mean, to think, one of our favorite names being Cohiba and one of our favorites being Weller. How did this all start?
We were actually approached by the Sazerac organization. I guess at this point, 5 years ago. I'm not
Yeah,
even, um, but they approached us wanting to do a collaboration, wanting to partner with us on putting a cigar out. Certainly new terrain for us, and new terrain for them as well. I think they'd had some private label cigars that were done to some degree before, but
right.
certainly to this level. And to your point, I don't know of anything else um, in the premium cigar space that
Right.
really mirrors the way this is done. There certainly have been some other releases of other cigars, um, which I don't need to name. I'm sure people are familiar with them. But the way that this collaboration, this partnership works, that we get our own barrels from them every year that are spent barrels, but still have nice notes and essence of the juice still living in the barrels. And we go through this every year. We don't reuse the barrels, so it's every year. It's newly used barrels that we get to age the tobacco in, and it just makes the partnership just that more authentic, and for the cigar lover that much more um, you know relevant, right? I mean,
Right.
you really, really, really get to pick up the essence and the nuance of the bourbon that's being
You
featured.
do. You
Uh,
really do. And I'm telling and you see, I've just started smoking this. First of all, just from the beginning, just the beautiful, and I'm getting just a really nice velvety mouthfeel on the wrapper, just in the flavor. There's some wonderful cacao nibs, milk chocolate. I mean, this is going into this buttery milk, perhaps dark chocolate note that is just so pure and
this is
smooth.
for whatever reason, this is and we had the blend a few years ago was similar to this as far as the tobacco. So this really speaks to how much the juice, the bourbon actually influences the age on this leaf, because this
It
one
really does.
smokes with a lot more, as you said, cacao, or to me, just sort of a faint sort of dark chocolatey underbottom, just a little bit different than the previous releases.
Absolutely. I mean, that chocolate is there. There's this, well, we often say, Sean, with really well-aged bourbon, there's this wonderful buttery note. And part of that is because it's traveled in and out of the barrel for so long that it really breaks down those elements that are stronger, that are a little rougher. But this reminds me that butteriness of the Weller comes through in that it's a broadleaf, Connecticut broadleaf, American
Binder.
tobacco, right?
The wrapper is Sumatra, which is very
Well, the wrapper Sumatra, but the binder is what's been aged, right?
It is interesting because Sumatra, in a typical expression, just won't really give you the notes that you're getting in this cigar now. So
Right.
it speaks to the nature of what the foolproof has done to this blend.
Absolutely. We should
Sumatra,
also say, oh, go ahead, please.
floral leaf. It doesn't have that heavier sort of cocoa or chocolate bottom typically. So it's very interesting with the cigar.
The way it's coming together. And we should also say, while I see so many people we've seen before, but also some new friends that enjoy the pairings that Sean and I do together. If you haven't had a chance to go over to cigarworld.com and see our master series that we filmed this year, actually, at Club Macanudo in New York, Sean and I, last year's iteration of the Weller 2023, there is an episode on there of us pairing it with Weller 12, but a lot of other episodes of pairing whiskeys, brown spirits, well-aged spirits, and Cohiba cigars, right, Sean?
Absolutely, it was a lot of fun, man, and it's been really cool to sort of see how that content is sort of lived, and it's been sort of fragmented out in different releases and so forth, and I get a lot of a lot of feedback from that. I mean, like especially this weekend I was in Vegas at Big Smoke,
Yes.
Friday and Saturday night events, and every night, man. I mean, there were at least a few people come, hey man, I saw the videos, it's great. So it's really, really, really good to see that people actually look at the stuff that we do and they digest it and it's of some use to them. I worry sometimes that it's one thing for us to sit on camera and bloviate about the shit that we think we know, right? But it's another thing that people actually find value in it, and it's actually relevant to their experience in cigars and bourbon. So, thank you for being a part of this, man. It's something that's gonna outlive both of us. You know what I mean?
Well, it will, and we've been enjoying it, doing it together like this for years. But to get your team, the wonderful team from Moose, everybody together, and just filming it at Club Macanudo, such an iconic place, was amazing. And again, the place that you go to find it, this will take you right there, bourbonblog.com/series. But if you just go on to cigarworld.com and see all the wonderful content, you can find it as well. Let's see if there's any questions. If there's any questions for Sean or I about the cigar.
Phone. I can't see the chat.
Yeah, I'm seeing if there are any questions, but I think, as I'm thinking about it, I have one. You described it earlier, and again, we're sipping, Sean and I both are, the Weller Special Reserve. It's about 7 to 8 years old, around there. Weller bourbon. And
really quick, I mean,
yeah.
This is aged in the full proof. We're drinking the Special Reserve. Explain to them the difference. It's the same juice, but just,
The full proof is a higher proof. Sometimes, depending upon the selection, it can be a little bit older, but with the full proof, you're getting it right there at that around 114 proof, basically almost barrel proof experience. And it really is a lot of the same juice. Now, what you've done before, same make, you got it. What you had done before with your other iterations and releases since 2022 is you had aged it in 12-year barrels. The first one, 2021, was an exquisite release. It was made to actually pair with the cigars, but after 2022, they all were aged in 12-year, except for this one, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. So again, you're getting that barrel. It's fresh. It's wet. You're putting the tobacco. Is that actually staying down in?
So you have the barrels, of course, and they're sitting upright, as opposed to on their side like they would sit in the rick house, but they're sitting like a bongo almost.
Right.
And you basically painstakingly, God bless the factory that do this, but they basically stack the hands of tobacco, starting from the floor in the center and circle out all the way, to near the top of the barrel. And periodically they'll go in and make sure that what's at the bottom will end up at the top and what's on the sides will end up in the middle. And that happens over a series of several months, so that all of the tobacco sort of gets equal opportunity to be at the center of the barrel and also touching the walls of the barrel. So it's a very, very tedious process. Very
incredible, because they want to make sure that you all want to make sure that it gets all that juice on there, and you can taste it. I mean, I can really get some of those caramel notes, the chocolate, the buttery notes, everything coming together.
That's one of the basic, most sort of fundamental things you want, is to make sure that it actually gets equal opportunity to sort of touch the cedar and the oak and pick up some of the juice. But also, it's basically it's a mini Pelon, and if you look at a Pelon of tobacco, it's aged the same way from center to exterior, up and down, so forth, and that process is continued only in a sort of micro environment inside of the barrel. So while it's picking up the essence of the bourbon, it's also getting different amounts of heat, different amounts of moisture, different amounts of air. So it's a very tedious process.
It's tedious. It's well thought. You had a number of barrels. I don't know how many. Do you know how many total barrels that you had that you aged this in?
Maybe a dozen to 18, something like that. It's not a ton. Yeah.
And again, fairly limited release. I mean, once these are gone,
once they're gone until next year. And
they're gone until next year.
I am 95% certain I can say it, but it'll be another Weller expression next year. So.
Another one, and maybe even a different one.
It'll be a different one. I'm saying
it'll be a different one.
So, and you can do the math. I mean, Yeah, have OFC, so we'll see, but we definitely want to give the the fans of this project something new.
Right. It's always going to be something new. So, what
Whether,
I've done the last several years is
Weller
I always
juice,
hope back a few.
whether it's new Weller juice or whether it's a different blend. So,
well, the more I'm tasting the combination with the bourbon, I'm getting, I am getting that chocolate, the cacao more and more. I'm getting a little bit of dried fruit. I mean, this is so pure and just this is just it's a luscious mouthfeel. You know what it's reminding me of? I know you and I have spent quite a bit of time at Kentucky Derby together, and it's not quite Derby time yet, but I'm getting like a little Kentucky Derby pie on this, little pecan note. Do you get a little of that too?
Oh, I don't know. Let me find that. Hold on, man.
Of course, part of it's just the magic of what Kentucky and Weller and Cohiba can do, but I'm getting like this nuttiness that goes into that.
Well, you would get that normally from Sumatra to a degree.
Okay.
A light nuttiness of floral, but yeah, I can sort of, and you may see that sort of as pecan pie. I see it more as maybe a kind of a toffee
note.
A little bit of that, but like whatever that the filling itself, you know what I mean?
Not that wonderful filling, yeah. The wonderful fillings coming up there. And again, I cannot think of, nor have I ever seen a cigar that is so ready to pair with a wonderful bourbon, especially Weller, which we have in our hands. But if you don't have any Weller near you, you get one of these. You have a wonderful bourbon. It's going to work so beautifully. It's going to raise the flavors and really elevate the flavors of both the cigar and the spirit.
Try to stay in the wheated category.
I think so. Yes.
If not, don't go super high proof.
Don't do high proof. Okay. Stay in that wheated.
Doesn't. I mean, there's some bourbons, and because we're respectfully enjoying Weller and Weller.
Of course.
I won't speak to other bourbons, but there are some other bourbons that are high proof that have that balance where you can maybe sneak it in. But for the most part, I would stay in the area where you're not going super high proof, and if you can go wheated, go wheated.
That's right. And of course, this is the time of year we love the Weller Special Reserve, but if you can find it, we just wrote about a week or so ago the BTAC, the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, one of them being William LaRue Weller, several beautiful. I mean, I always love the Sazerac Rye. Tell us what your favorite either BTAC or just Buffalo Trace family Sazerac bourbon is down below.
But the family, I don't know if people all know the family. I mean, you're talking, of course, Weller. You're talking the Pappies. You're talking the Blanton's. You're talking one of my all-time favorites, the E.H. Taylor. You're talking
yes.
Rare. You're talking
Rare. The Stag.
Yeah. And you're talking the classic BT, man, the Buffalo Trace. Yeah. So
and the Buffalo Trace, all of those. Do tell us down below or tweet back what your favorite is, or maybe even tweet us or share down below. Show us a picture of what you're trying tonight. You actually did you shared a few of these, I would think, in Vegas or some of your travels lately?
Yeah. Well, not many. I mean,
there's not many to share, I know.
I'm going to start a shelfish. As you can see, I'm missing a few out of mine. So
where did those go?
I don't know. The gremlins got them. So.
The gremlins got them. It helped them come back to normal.
I bring a few to smoke myself and share with those that I'm fortunate enough to have a cigar to with when I'm on the road. Certainly not something that we're able to hand out at any events because it's just we only make a few thousand boxes, so so it's really just for myself and those that purchase them, or again the ones that people I'm able to fortunate enough to have a cigar with when the lights go down, so to speak. You know what I mean?
That's right. What notes are they telling you? What are they telling you about this one in particular? Any other notes?
Honestly, I haven't like gotten into the weeds like this. I'm really happy that most people, especially when they get this cigar, they just want to enjoy the cigar. And I have gotten really good feedback, which is really good. I mean, a number of people have told me this is their favorite Weller release ever, which is great, because you want that, 4 years into the project, right? That you're still getting people that taste it and they're like, wow, this is incredible, because we've gotten similar responses previously. So it's been overwhelming as far as, people really, really responding to this new release in a positive way. but I haven't gotten too deep in the weeds on people saying I pick up this, that, or whatever. Especially, on the rare occasion that I've had the opportunity to enjoy the cigar with people, because it's usually more of a celebratory thing. Like, when we're in Vegas, we finish up the night and there's just a few, myself and the crew, and we're sitting around somewhere. And actually, because when you're working, you have an event with 1,500, 1,600 people coming by, and you're handing out cigars and talking. You're not really enjoying the cigar that you're smoking. So, we finally got back to the hotel and sat in the bar, and we're able to sit down and go through a full cigar without having to relight and talk too much. The last thing we're doing is breaking down the notes we're picking up, and we're enjoying the moment, which is what it should be,
That's what it should be. And I'll tell you, as I taste this, I think all of them, all the Weller by Cohibas have been perfect in their own way. But for this one, it is so different and unique. It has I'm not going to say it's sweet, but it has some sweeter notes that come through, balanced with that wonderful bourbon-soaked oak with the tobacco. I mean, the balance of this with sweet, with a little bit of spice, it's really extremely well balanced. But the sweetness tends to make me really just continue love smoking on it and thinking about this right after dessert, or maybe even right before dessert. I mean, this is just such an amazing creation that reminds me of so many great flavors of bourbon.
Yeah, this is certainly a sort of end of night cigar for me. I want to have time to enjoy it, and this is something that is intently meant to be paired with preferably a Weller, obviously, but again, some bourbon of your choice. So you want to be able to sit down and enjoy it, and it's also something that's fleeting. It's not, once these are gone, we won't make them again. So if someone has them, hopefully they stash a few away. Hopefully they share some with their friends. But when you're smoking, you just know that it is a finite experience, because there's very, very limited opportunities to experience this particular expression again.
Yes, and I love that. I love that about a lot of the limited editions that you do. You have you've had so many great releases. We'll say this is what we're doing tonight, but you've had some great releases this year. You've brought the Riviera and the Lancero. You have a whole new Serie M this year, the Reserva Roja. You've had a lot happening this year.
Yeah. You rounded that off, and I had to think about it. And what threw us off this year is we haven't released Spectre, and we won't be releasing Spectre to next year, which is going to make it crazy, crazy good. I'll be candid for those that are tuning in. We just, every year, Spectre in of itself as a cigar is always a big undertaking, because it's always something that's super limited. Typically some tobaccos that we never have again. So that creates its own sort of elements of difficulty and work, which is where I really lean in mostly. I don't design packaging, thank God. But another element to that, which takes a lot of work, is coming up with interesting packaging every year. And a lot of times we get behind the 8 ball, and we're deciding between a couple of different concepts. And for the second time since we started this project, which was in, I think, 2018 was our first release.
Right.
This is the time where the packaging and the blends just didn't match up at the same time. So we could sort of rush it out, not rush it out. I mean, it could be ready to be released this year, but kind of based on where we are, we're just releasing Weller now, end of October, beginning of November. That means we'd have to stack Spectre up at the end of November or maybe January, and it's just not fair to the consumer, certainly not fair to the retailers. And it doesn't hurt us to let it sit a little bit more. So when people smoke these blends of the Spectre next fall, they will have aged for a year. I mean, yeah, man, forget about it. And the tobacco already is just crazy.
So the Spectre will be released, roughly when in 2025?
It won't be released until October of 2025. And we just literally declaratively decided that this morning. We've been kind of on the fence as to whether or not to release it this year, or release it early next year. And we're thinking, it would be kind of crowded this year.
It would be crowded.
Still fulfilling Weller orders. We don't want to sort of, step on, that movement right now. And, it's not, releasing a cigar of that magnitude in, early part of the year, January, February, is just not optimal. So, let's just let the cigars rest, let them sit, and we'll release them in October. So so I'm just super excited. I got a lot of stuff to do between now and October, obviously, but man, I can't wait to taste those cigars after the tobacco has been aged and specially selected as much as we did, to have the cigars rolled now, and they're going to sit away until next fall, man. That's going to be awesome. Yeah.
So it's going to be an even deeper age. It's going to be.
Yeah.
Are you going to call it Spectre 2025, or will it be 24? I mean, what will the vintage be?
That's a good question. Usually, when we sort of release the cigar in the next calendar year from when it was supposed to be released, we still refer to it as the year that it was rolled. So
that year,
2025, realistically, it's going to be referred to as Weller 2020. I'm sorry, Spectre 2024, because the cigars were rolled this year and set away this year. So, but at any rate, it's just going to be really, really cool, man, to bring those cigars out. These would be the ones that have had the most age as far as
the most age. So these are going to be the oldest. I mean, obviously, I know it's a big secret, but any other little hints you can give us?
I don't want to get into the weeds too deep on it, but
just going to know it's the most aged. We know that
it's going to be more Nicaraguan centric as far as the blend, which we've always had. A good representation of Nicaraguan tobacco. But this is going to be a little bit more. Which again is going to be interesting, because some of the body that you get in Nicaraguan tobacco, it's just gonna sort of smooth out a little bit over this year as it sits in a cedar coffin. So it's gonna be fun to see. I'm excited because it's sort of a new experience for me too, to see how it ages out. So looking forward to it, man.
I'm looking forward to it too, and we know the Weller by Cohiba will also be back in 2025. Probably some of the tobacco is aging right now for that one, right?
No,
not yet. Okay, not yet. Soon.
We're still deciding on exactly expression. Will it be 107 or OFC or something like that? So once we decide on that, and that has a lot to do, obviously, with our good friends at Buffalo Trace as far as what barrels they have available to send us. That's a key part as well. So yeah, man, it's a very, very fun project to do. I must admit. Yeah.
So much to look forward to. And again, if you haven't seen it, I'll say it one more time, the Master Series with Sean and I. Take a moment, like this video, share this video with all your friends, because I know you have other friends that like cigars and bourbon and that want to get their hands on this, and you need to get your hands on this. Even though, as I said, they've all been amazing and perfect releases by themselves. This particular release is one of the best pairings of a cigar that I've ever had with a bourbon, and it's just spot on. You've done so well, Sean. You really have.
Thank you. Yeah,
you're welcome. You're welcome. And this is the link that you want to go to for the series that Sean and I co-host, or cigarworld.com. Again, we've been tasting it with the Weller Special Reserve. I'm going to pour just a little more of that here and enjoy.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, enjoy the smokes. These are very special and just very layered, deep notes that remind me just of a good bourbon, and it's just so well rounded and so well balanced. Any other news we want to touch on? I know a lot of it's we can't tell them yet, but any other news coming up? Places you're going? Anything?
Just looking to finish out the year. Not a ton of events necessarily for the rest of the year, but I'll be in Oklahoma City in a couple of weeks at the Rock Hotel Burn Lounge there. Also in Norman at the Cigar Lounge, Royal Pipes and Cigars, right near the OU campus. What else have come up as far as events? I will be up in New York doing a couple events up there in Long Island at Village Cigar Warehouse up in Patchogue with my guy Andrew, and I'll be up doing events with as I've typically done every year for the most part with Dad's Cigar Warehouse up in Nanuet, New York.
Excellent.
And, then I'll be back up the following week for our holiday blowout at Club Macanudo, man. So cigar dinner coming up next week. Actually, next week. Yes, next week. Wow, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My cigars, so it's always good to go back home, so to speak. So yeah, man. So just got a few events to check off the list. I'll be at Art Basel activating there with Rob Report magazine at their
excellent.
Yeah, so just just checking off the calendar, man. Looking forward to shutting it down for the holidays and getting some much needed rest to recharge and get ready to kick 2025 in the ass, man.
Well, that's what we're going to do, and I'm so glad to see you tonight, Sean. And I'll be, for those of you in the San Diego area, I'll be at the San Diego Bay Wine and Food Festival later this week on Friday, Saturday. So look for me there. Some great bourbons I'll be pouring, and many more places to come. And then as we get closer to Derby, you'll see Sean and I doing something incredible together in Louisville.
Looking forward to that, man. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Me too, my friend. Again, Weller by Cohiba, the full proof. Check it out. And even these tubes are these tubes are great too. The gold, the blue. Thanks so much for joining us tonight on bourbonblog.com, Sean. And thanks everybody for hanging out with us.
Man, thanks for having me.
Cheers, my friend. Cheers, everybody.